This is the One and All Podcast, a proud member of the Dunham Audio Network.
Oh no!
The doctor! This is Craig's worst nightmare.
Oh, what is this? What is that?
We will always be the same. Our beliefs will be unchanging and unwavering. We believe continually in one truth, but for all humanity. In one Savior, but for all people. One truth that will be delivered in love and compassion, connecting every one person to all that God has promised them.
Hey everyone, welcome to the One and All Podcast. Today we get to sit down with Chris Fink and Craig Smith from ONE&ALL Worship. Ben, who's here with us.
Hello.
And my name is Aaron. I so rudely didn't
that was very rude.
Introduce myself. It's especially sweet for Ben because Ben is intimately connected with this department, both when it was CCV and now as ONE&ALL. And so this is a really good interview.
Yeah, I had a good time. It's always, you can always talk, for hours, I think, with this team, with a lot of people here around church, a lot of insight, a lot of great things to say. But this one we started off on an interesting foot. Aaron was being such a kind gentleman in fetching some of the guys' coffee.
Our audience knows by now that we drink bean for these interviews, and that is a vital component. So vital that I was actually late to the interview.
He missed it. So I just had to start. So there was some other turn of events, but Aaron joins us a few minutes into the podcast, but that's where we started. So
you guys aren't going to want to miss this. And the good news is you're not late. So here we go.
You're going to need some good glue, man.
Here we are.
All right.
Here we are, sitting down with Christopher Fink as he sips on a Diet Coke.
Oh, yeah.
And Craig Smith, as most call him, his full name.
Thank you.
Don't forget Tyler. Craig Tyler Smith.
On brand.
Oh, yeah. That's his Instagram handle.
CTS, dude.
My bad. And I am Ben Lounsbury.
Ooh.
That's how you say it in the native tongue, from where I grew up.
I've always wondered.
Yeah. No, it's Lounsbury.
Oh, dang it.
Sorry, I had to get that. had to get that straight.
Zinged him.
You got me.
Normally, we're in a bit of a situation. Normally, Aaron's here, right? But currently, his backpack's in his chair, sunglasses on the seat, and as you know, we like to start off sipping on a nice cup of bean.
Oh, yes. Okay, so that's where he is.
He better
He's on
come
a
back with
mission
coffee.
For the bean.
So here's what happened. We want to be real on this podcast. We want to be honest. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. One sad thing that happened just a few moments ago. We're going to...
Yes.
Here we go.
Hey, tell the story.
All
Okay,
right.
tell it right.
So, but before we get there, so Aaron so politely ran out to get coffee for everybody, a surprise cup to some. And so we will do our normal review of bean at the tail end of the episode.
Now I'm even more excited.
Delicious, yeah.
Yeah, I think a healthy church is one that has a healthy coffee culture.
Right.
Right? Modern
So
day,
true.
that's what's important.
Yeah, priorities.
Right.
But so we're just basically just waiting on Aaron. So he's gonna walk in the room, and we're gonna give him a bit of a hard time. But Craig, this happened moments before we hit record. We're gonna have to tell Aaron at some stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we like to also have the guests describe the room. We might do that in a bit.
Okay.
Give people an idea of what this place looks like.
Yeah.
All that.
Yep.
Can Craig tell the story about what he just did? I feel like this has the potential to be a really awkward moment
Oh, yeah.
when Aaron gets here. Because we have to tell him while on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna set up a camera too.
Cool.
So this is on audio and
But
video.
can you
Yeah.
explain to everyone what just happened?
So the story really goes back a few months here. It all begins when I essentially decided that I was going to grow my hair out. And the plan essentially was to not get a haircut. And so far, it's been going according to plan, saving a lot of money in haircuts. Things are, getting a little wild, but I think, I don't have a plan other than not getting a haircut yet. But from a budgetary perspective, it's
working.
It's phenomenal, yeah. The hair is, it's coming in, it's doing its thing. So essentially, like I've now started to notice that like the hair will like fall to the side. I have to be careful about like turning into
hold
this
on.
situation.
No, I see what he's doing. Hold on, pause.
What?
Wait, no.
You can't blame this on anything else.
He is justifying.
No.
Hold on, no.
don't do it,
He's
don't
giving
do it.
context.
Yes,
and he
context.
is justifying what he
It's
did
context.
earlier.
Yes.
Okay, let's see how he spins this one.
Sure.
dude.
This is. Jeez, here we go.
Got him.
Okay, so yeah, essentially, fast forward to right now, and I was adjusting my hat, and like a quaint space in here, a very comfortable space. There's a vibe happening here.
Yeah,
it's
a
also
vibe.
relatively tight.
Yes.
And so I'm up against this little like wall of like tchotchkes, if you will, knickknacks. And I go to adjust my hat, and out of the corner of my, it goes back behind my head, and out of the corner of my eye, I see something flying towards the floor. And
We all saw it fly. To the
you all
floor.
saw it
Yeah.
fly to the floor. And then I couldn't even look. I turned the other way when it happened. I thought that it was a little statue of Mary, to be honest with you.
Right.
A real biblical tchotchke. And then I think you guys mentioned that it was something far more.
Yeah, it was something.
I don't want to say far more
It was
important, but just
something
different. It's different.
far more valuable,
There
I
you
would
go.
say.
Yeah,
To be
sentimental.
fair, right behind you in
Yeah.
this tight space on the shelf that you're talking about, where all
Yes.
these like little knickknacks are,
Yeah.
there's an arrangement of like coffee cups,
Yeah.
and some sort of Lego device. And it's cool. Oh, it's a Lego coffee cup.
Looks
That's
like
really
3D
cool. So there's
printed,
different
maybe.
kinds of
Yeah.
coffee cups. And of everything on this shelf, the coffee cups, the pictures of Aaron's sweet, sweet family, you somehow managed to knock down the one thing
Yeah.
on this shelf that I'm not sure is replaceable.
Why couldn't it be the world's greatest father? Why? Why?
Craig, you knocked down the cake topper statue off of the shelf and you broke it. Now, currently, it has no head. We're going to have to put this on some sort of Instagram.
I have good news
We're
and
gonna have
bad
to-
news.
this is
Only
Aaron.
the head fell off. I have bad news. Only the head fell off.
I'm pretty sure part of her knee did as well.
Yeah, no,
and
her
you
foot's
damaged
gone.
both of them.
Oh, yes.
To be
So
honest
this
with you.
is Megan, Aaron's
Also,
wife.
I mean,
Lovely
I
couple.
don't want to, like, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah.
this is post-wedding, I guess,
Right.
or something.
Well, they're celebrating marriage.
Yeah.
It's an intimate,
yeah,
wedding
yeah,
cake
like-
topper. They're
Yeah.
embracing.
Yeah,
Right.
she's
That's fine.
She's riding
That's
his
okay.
back, and he's holding a football. But
Aaron is a high school athlete,
Yes.
collegiate as well, I believe.
yeah, to be fair, this doesn't look a ton like Megan
He
anyway.
didn't-
I don't know what the plan was.
Her right leg's totally
Let's not
missing.
pass over this as fast as we're doing here. Let's make sure that people understand Aaron is an athlete.
Yeah.
This guy is not only large and handsome, he's also an athlete. He played for Oregon State. I mean, this is a dude we have on our hands here, and this is the guy who's going to come back to the office from doing a good thing for us, and only to be greeted by Craig telling him he's broken a valuable
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
thing.
To be
his
fair,
office.
I have the head in my hands
don't-
currently.
yeah, right. Seriously,
looking
the head
after
is
it.
disconnected. The best plan, the best plan of action I have. As
Yeah, how do
the
you see
current
this
moment
going?
Is upside down in a mug. That's
Okay,
that
but
hiding it.
How
is,
do you see
is
this?
The current option.
How do you see this
Okay.
working out?
Yeah, to be honest, this
Help
is how I
us
see it
understand.
playing out. I don't claim to know very much about marriage.
Okay.
In fact, nothing.
That'd be good.
Like
You're
the
not
other men
married.
in this,
Right,
yeah, like the
okay.
other men in this office. But excuse me, studio. But I will say this: something tells me that there's a 20% chance that Aaron could walk in here and we go, hey man, broke your wedding tchotchke. And he'd go, oh yeah, Megan made me put that on the shelf. Freaking hate that thing. And I'd go, yes.
Okay, all right, but let's talk
That's
about the
one
other
option. Yeah,
side.
there's one
great.
option.
No, okay.
But to me, it's like, do you have one of these on your desk, Chris?
Yeah.
No, you have a Monster, and
I also
you know,
didn't have the cool idea
like the latest
of making
issue of
a
Golf Digest,
tchotchke
you know,
or whatever it is that you referred to it as.
I do like that word.
It's a good
knick-knack, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
You know, like it's.
It looks expensive, is what it's what it looks like, and
Well, I think so. This is a good bit of dialogue to have.
Okay.
How do you deal? I mean, we're laughing. It was quite an emotional moment upon its first occurrence.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
you know, how to
The Scotch tape around.
is this one of those things
Asking for a friend.
where you try and just kind of dust it under the rug, or you know, is this one of those things?
Craig,
I mean, from a
tell us
ministry
what you're gonna
standpoint,
do
how do
when
you?
Aaron gets here?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
How do you mend the
Please,
brokenness?
let's be clear about this and
first
say.
I'm gonna try to find all the pieces because I'm still finding
Okay.
ceramic on me, or whatever this is made of.
And then?
ceramic. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, like, you know, it might not make for the best comedy, but I'm genuinely
I think
sorry,
he's coming.
Yeah.
and I kind of want
to.
to just be genuinely sorry to him.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But
Hey, what's
Please.
my
up,
guy,
bro?
the man.
We've been friends
Oh,
for
Please.
a
love
while
you,
now. and
love you. Honestly,
that's okay. We're
very
actually-
good to see you.
Aaron, we'd like to greet you.
Come here.
Hey, Ben, can you give some context?
Yeah, Aaron. I mean, we've been going for a little while, so I mean,
Thank you for this.
And you come with gifts.
Thank you,
Dude,
bro.
The most important part of any podcast.
Aaron
is
just
a
walked
straight
into
latte.
the office with
Oh,
And
coffee.
delicious.
Now, no respect on multiple levels.
Okay.
I'm late.
Okay.
So no respect there.
No problem.
That has sugar in it because they don't have anything sugar-free.
Got
This
it.
is all
Hey,
homemade.
hey, wait.
So
I
one
forgive
sip
you for
of
being
it.
late. Not a problem. Don't even worry about it.
The
No
other-
big deal whatsoever. This is a culture of forgiveness
Right.
in here. This is a culture
Right.
of friendship.
Yeah.
This is
It's really
whatever
who we
happens,
are.
we've got each other's
It's,
back.
you know what I would like to say too? I feel like when you make a mistake in life, you know, if good friends come around you.
Yeah.
You know, God told us to surround ourselves with good people and good friends. And I think that good friends take every opportunity to forgive their brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Amen.
like
Yeah, I
if there
feel
were
that.
such a moment that needed forgiveness.
Yeah.
like putting sugar in a fully keto
Like putting
gentleman's
sugar
Yeah.
in a coffee that I
or
can't touch.
barista.
Or no, that's not it. No, there's another instance. I think
Showing up
that I would give an
late,
example.
that could be another one that's very
I mean,
forgivable.
yeah, but at the same
Knocking
time,
heads off of things.
right?
also.
That's also one.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah.
Craig.
So Aaron,
things.
we
So where are we at?
Yeah,
to catch
We
you
have some
up.
context.
Yeah.
So we've just been chatting, chatting about mostly your absence, but no. First of all, thank you.
Yeah,
these are
thank you
these
so
are
much.
lovely beverages from
Cheers, gentlemen.
what is this shop
Cheers.
called?
This is the reverse orangutan.
That's right.
Oh, I've never had this.
This
Where's
is a reverse
from?
orangutan, and this guy, like I talked to the founder. He made us our coffee, right? The founder. This might be our real shot at a sponsor, guys.
Wow.
Did you let him know?
I let him
So
know
we've
what
been-
this was all
Let's
about.
see
You
the
know,
vision
told him
for it.
about a little one and all action.
Wow, heck yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, send the podcast over. You know,
Chris.
tag us when it's done. So
This is a straight latte.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're the man.
So
yeah, so
Awesome.
we all learned a
Thank you,
lesson in
Ben.
ordering
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, here it goes.
So we're trying our first sip.
Okay.
So how we
Oh,
like
that's
to,
good.
as you know, how we like to start is enjoying a nice cup, enjoying a nice beverage.
Bean.
Yes, of bean.
A bean.
And so we'll give our full review at the end.
So stay tuned.
But Chris, try and give the listeners a little bit of an idea of where you are.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
I've seen this space on social media from time to time. I'll be honest, I never really knew where it was. I feel bad about that. But I also
If you
just
watch
went, okay,
online,
I've seen Pastor Aaron sharing online, and I go, where is he? He's got to be in his office. I think it's his office, but it looks like a studio, but it also looks like a room. Wait, what could it be? So in walking in, I finally get the location, walking in, and I come inside and I just go, this is everything you need to get stuff done.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
I'm coming from a place of appreciation. I love it. I'm very comfortable. And I was greeted by an amazing message, which was written by Robbie Regassa, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Robbie
Hey, Aaron,
serves on the
I hope
production
you
team here
make
at One and
the
All.
greatest of content. Okay, bye, Robbie Regassa.
There is a love you down in the bottom and a terribly
sign.
drawn smiley
That's very
face.
Robbie,
Now,
love you.
Robbie,
the luxury you
yeah, he
have
leads
of
our
sitting in
audience.
the seat that you sit in, Chris, is you don't get to do the shoddy glue work done by our very own Robbie Regassa.
We're going to talk about glue.
Robbie
Glue
is
here
a
in
cut
a
first,
second.
measure later type of. He
So,
We're
gets
gonna
it
talk
done.
a little bit more about glue
Yeah.
here in a second, but
But I appreciate the honor
Thank-
of the office. Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for the description. Craig, how would you describe the space you're in? This is a 5-walled room.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've
Nice.
actually gone into detail about it, but this is a 5-walled room.
What's that do for acoustics, man?
It actually is good.
Really?
It's better that it's not square.
He described it to me as a nice spiral effect.
Oh.
So if you have even like a square, same length of sides, 90-degree angles,
Yep.
4 sides, stuff starts to build up on itself frequency-wise. Tech talk here. Everyone tune in.
Sounds like Cody.
So right. So if reverberation and echoes of sound waves will hit, that's why people pad the walls and treat so that there's not a lot of reflections. But in a square room, it'll just hit one wall, hit the next, hit the next, hit the next, and and it just velocity. It'll tail off.
Yeah.
But it has the chance to build on itself a little more.
For some reason, I'm thinking of like the DirecTV thing that would go to the you're waiting
That's
for it to go to the
exactly
corner.
what I was thinking
Is that
of.
what you're
Yeah,
thinking of?
his
Like
hand.
we were watching it to go to the corner,
Yeah,
and then it's like,
that's
is it going to
right.
hit the corner? It's like that thing.
Yeah,
Kind
but
Kind of.
usually TVs are rectangle, which is better than a square.
True.
That's the extent of my insight. How else would you describe this room?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was just like boring offices down here, to be honest with you. I didn't know there was something cool. So yeah, no, this is a cool little space. I think it's like, it's vibey. It's what you need, to get some good podcasting done, some online intros and outros, all the things. Plenty of gear down here like that as well. Also like tight a little bit, like a little close to the wall, but it's cozy, But I'm genuinely sorry about this, Aaron. I broke your out. I knocked this off. The head came off.
That's funny.
Bro,
I'm so
That actually makes
sorry.
it so much better. If Megan's right arm in that, so what he's holding, everybody, since
Oh my
we're
gosh,
not
her arm is glued.
recording, it is glued. So I already broke it once. So it's all right. He is holding my wedding cake topper. What is great about this is I am beheaded. So for all we know, Megan climbing on my back of this cake topper, she did it, not Craig. Secretly, I really love that happened because it adds some character to the room.
I went to adjust my hat and it just hit
I'm
the
not
floor.
going to glue my head back on. I might find a
we have
strategic
it, we
place
have
to
the
put
head.
it. Yeah. Yeah, Ben is holding
I'm
it.
genuinely so sorry. It's like, what are the chances? Oh,
we've been
so sad right now.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out how Craig was going to tell you. And he started off by kind of setting the scene. And then what you notice about Craig, and here's what I love about working with him, is like
This is good.
he's going to have a very intentional plan on how to do something.
Heck yeah, it is.
Even if it's the moment of, if we're coming up to an emergency on something or something needs to change or something needs to happen, Craig is very quick and good on his feet. And I wanted to see how he was going to handle this situation. What I realized in this moment was he started to set the scene, but then went right at it.
Yeah,
So I
there was
think
no
he went
wasting.
against his plan a little bit. I think he had
Yeah,
another
Sometimes
plan.
you just got to jump right in.
Yeah,
For the sake
I
of
just-
sincerity and
I just-
honesty,
I just felt like you're kind of out of the loop in general. Like obviously, like we planted the seeds of forgiveness when you showed up.
Yeah.
Like we needed all that.
Needed
We
it.
needed all the structure in place. But then once it came time, I was just like, I can't live with this any longer.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all right.
So
There's a lesson to be
genuinely
learned in
very
there somewhere,
sorry.
probably.
And I heard Robbie has some super glue and he's pretty handy. So
All of the inside jokes that have happened the 5 minutes before this are all coming to me right now, which is
Yeah.
great.
It's
Which is a
exactly
really
right.
great experience that you created for me, so thank you.
yeah, of course.
And I genuinely don't care about that at all. So Megan
I told
Megan
him
is
you-
probably really confused why I still have it.
I
Yeah.
thought Megan really cared about it.
Maybe
I
she
think
does.
it's-
We're about to find out, though.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
are going to find out. Part 2, we bring Megan in. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Craig has to explain it to her.
So this is actually, I think, in talking about Craig's character, let's get to know Craig
This
Smith
is my favorite topic.
a little bit more. in all seriousness, I think it's, Aaron and I talked about this all the time, it's so important to know who the people are that are within the church body, who are leading teams, who are leading people who attend the church, all that.
Yeah.
It's important to know who these people are and to hear their hearts. So we know that Craig is, he at least what I know of Craig, he can't tell a lie. So as you just saw, he just went to kind of, or even just soften it, and he went, "No, I busted this, and I'm sorry."
It was brutal. That's something he says.
It should also be said there's going to be some extra chemistry on this podcast because Ben was a part of this team intimately for a very long time.
Yes.
So Craig and Chris and Ben go way back. So this is a very, very intimate podcast here that I'm happy that I have an opportunity to take the little inside route on. But to Craig, man, let's hear a little bit about you.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll start talking, and then you guys interrupt if you want me to say anything else interesting that I'm not saying.
Perfect. How did it break?
Yes. Explain that first. Come on, dude.
No, genuinely for the continuity of the podcast. Answer Ben's question, not mine. We'll get into that later.
My parents met kayak guiding on the Delaware River.
Oh, wow.
Back east.
Wow.
I don't think any story starts off this good.
Yeah.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
They're both just like super outdoorsy, super into whitewater kayaking. But my whole family's from back there. They moved out here to Arizona for my mom to go to University of Arizona for her master's. Then they moved farther up to Northern California. Moved from like Cupertino, Sunnyvale area in the Bay Area, you know it?
Yep.
And then decided that they could drive 45 minutes to the river to go whitewater kayaking on the weekend instead of driving 2 hours if they lived in like Granite Bay, Roseville. So they moved up to Granite Bay, Roseville. I first got involved in worship ministry there at Bayside Church, playing for the 5th and 6th grade group.
So this is the start of Craig's introduction to serving on team. Craig is a musician, primarily hangs out on the drums and kills it. So this is your intro to the, I guess, corporate worship environments. That's cool.
Yeah, so I played with, the blessing of being that young and trying to get involved was that the guys that played with at the 5th and 6th grade group were all like older, married, just much older guys that had a ton of musical experience and stuff like that. Kind of took me under their wing. My mom always jokes that like the night they came over to like try me out or whatever it was, I was like running around because I couldn't find the right sticks that I wanted to use and like freaking out. And there's videos of me like at the rehearsals and stuff, like my hands would get like clammy before I would play because I was so nervous. So there's like videos of me like wiping my hands off right before I pick up sticks. So
terrible.
Do you get that too?
I have a terrible first time on drumming story, but continue.
Okay. So got involved there and then just like stayed involved through high school and then two younger brothers, loving parents.
Well, so how'd you from Bayside to here? So the One and All Church is located in Southern California, as I mentioned before. San Dimas, Rancho area, West Covina, and online, and we have some partnerships overseas as well.
Yep. So let me make that move. Yeah. So I applied to 19 different schools. My mom said we are keeping our options open.
Oh my goodness.
And
Chris, okay, hang on. Now, Chris, Craig is this doesn't strike me as odd though for you. Oh. He's a man after. He's an intelligent man, always seeking more knowledge. So this makes sense to me that you would. I wouldn't be surprised if you attended all 19.
That's right.
I guess I should say that.
Just for some flavor palette,
okay, so
were any of them in Delaware though?
No, not in Delaware.
Right.
Yeah,
there you go.
No, I think I can't remember. There's like a Colorado or two, but so anyways, 2 of them were Christian schools: Azusa Pacific University and Trinity Christian in I think it's in San Antonio. Also a great school I toured. But then basically I came to a preview weekend at Azusa Pacific and kind of went into the weekend not sure what I was going to do and feeling pretty confused about the whole thing. And then left the weekend like, this is where I need to be. Like the level of community, the things I saw them doing, the things I could be involved in. It was just like so cool. Nice. My mom said that at one point I was like, we were there, and we either saw a chapel or something, and I was like, Mom, can you imagine if like one day I could be involved in that?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very
and
cool.
and then like 4 years of being involved in chapel programs later and playing like many a worship service there is like, it was just like an incredible blessing to be involved.
You know what's cool about that is how we may view it as really small, how God moves in very little ways, and it could just be such a passing thought.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
There's things that I found in interacting with so many different people in a similar setting within church. There's so many things that are you could just go, oh, that was just a passing thought. I think that's the stillness, and that's the whisper of the Holy Spirit a lot of times going like, hey,
It's good.
there's an interest, there's a draw here, and I've just placed that in you.
Yeah.
And it's there for a reason. So it's cool that like even just, you might mark it off as silly.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
that could be cool.
Yeah.
Right? That was in that moment, something happened inside you that drew you to that.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
And so, a funny little piece about that was, so I tried out for chapel programs at the end of my freshman year. You can be involved as a freshman. So I tried out for my sophomore year, and I got the email that said like, hey, like, thank you so much for trying out. Like, unfortunately, we won't be needing you type thing. And I was like devastated. I was like, dang it. Just like feeling like I like really wanted to be involved and like I could make a great contribution, and just feeling like a bit of rejection. And then like a week or so later, I got an email that said like, hey, you still interested in being involved? And I was like, what? And we went back and forth over email like once or twice. And essentially they said that the head guy at the time, Sean Beck, said that one of the drummers that he had thought was returning was not. And that like I had a spot for the year on chapel programs.
awesome.
And I actually was so stoked. I ripped the shirt I was wearing. I ripped.
Wow.
That's epic.
It was a V-neck, so it was easier back then, you know.
Oh,
But,
yeah, dude. One of those deep
it
V's,
came-
huh? You just get
just
that.
straight up in half.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
this
shredded.
was V-neck season.
Yeah,
V-neck
dude,
season
it was quite a
for
time.
Gives
But
us a little
I was
stamp
pumped.
of when
Hey.
it happened.
Yeah.
We were just talking to Jeff
Oh yeah.
in a previous episode, and he mentioned that he like got involved in something.
Okay.
His kind of like his first. It was a big ministry opportunity for him.
Yeah.
And it was because of someone not being able to
Yes.
Yeah.
make it. So he was kind of thrown into it. And I just think it's funny. God works this way a lot
Yeah.
within people.
Right.
And it's those couple of ways that it's that still whisper. And then
Yeah.
it's also like in moments of doubt, like, are you still in a place? Like, I think if we consider this scenario,
Yeah.
say you went through and you started to think like, it's because of what you could do. That's what got you in. You earned it somehow.
Right.
I think that's where like I've gone astray so often is going like I can work myself in it. I
Yeah.
can do.
Right.
And that's not to say like don't take yourself seriously. Don't be excellent in your craft.
Right.
But I think it's just an additional thing of like you've had a spirit of gratitude. I think you've carried it like over in these years.
Yeah.
And I think that was just one moment that
Yeah.
also like contributed to that huge bit of character within you. Of
Yeah,
like,
I do want to tap into that though.
Yeah.
Was like you ripped your V-neck, you were juiced.
Yeah.
But was there like a certain level of like, sloppy seconds? Like, was there any of that?
Ooh, that's a good
There-
question, man.
Yeah.
That would have been me
there
because I
absolutely
don't know that I
was.
would have been as pumped. Like I
Yeah.
envy that about you. Like that's
Right.
not something I'm like, let's
Yeah.
temper your V-neck. But
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that's a good question, and I think that there was a bit of that, but it was something that I was so interested in,
Sure.
and I felt like too, like the whole. It's a little deeper, but like the idea of like wanting to be involved in music, but then not majoring in it and feeling like, am I pursuing not the thing I'm passionate about, but the thing that's gonna like get me a stable job? Just feeling
Yeah.
this like push
Yeah.
and pull of that. So when that happened, it was kind of like. I was pretty willing to forgive and forget at that point. I was
Yeah.
just kind of like I was just too stoked.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, yeah.
I think to Ben's point, and good callback on Jeff, by the way, that's a much healthier place to be. But it can come along with like, well, am I really good enough?
Right.
Or was I just default?
I get that. And I was blessed. There was guys even there. I think there was one guy that was like a sure yes. There was me that was the no and then the yes. And then there was like 2 or 3 others at that point that didn't even get a return call or whatever. So So yeah, I'm still very grateful.
I think it's what we're touching on is really, really important. I think, in that situation, you really have a decision to make. You can respond with a humble spirit and see the opportunity as what it is.
Yeah.
Or you could be hurt about it, and you could not share that with anyone, and you actually take that into your performance. You actually take that into the role.
Yeah.
And so therefore they're not getting all of you, they're getting half of you.
Right.
And so you made a decision at that point
That's right.
to move on and focus on the opportunity instead of letting it kind of
Yeah, that's
seep
good.
in and
Yeah,
stay
I
in your
appreciate
heart.
that.
That's huge. That's cool.
You didn't even give it a chance to stain your shirt. You're just like, no, I'm done with this shirt.
Right?
He hasn't put his shirt back on since, by the way.
So yeah, I'll fast forward from there, but basically like a fantastic time at APU. Post college, I end up working at APU there in one of the offices doing marketing communications for like 4 or 5 years. Essentially like working full time there and then working like full time here on the weekends doing like being involved in like drumming and musical directing, and was blessed enough to come on like a part-time staff role with Johnny and Chris out at the Rancho campus.
Was that
And-
right away at APU, or how long did it take you to get plugged in here?
Oh, yeah, good question. So yeah. So I worked at America's. There was a stint of working at America's Christian Credit Union for 10 months after APU, and then I think about the time I was done with that and was starting to get plugged in APU. Then I was kind of like, you know how it is, like being a musician, like you kind of play for all these different people and all these different worship leaders and stuff like that, and there was a lot of opportunity in that. But I was kind of like, if like getting a job down here and being here post college, it was like, this is no longer like I'm at school and I need to be down here. This is now like I'm choosing to be here. And so I was like, I really need to get plugged into a church. And so, I mean, I remember the day I walked into the back of San Dimas for service, cold turkey, just knowing no one. And the irony back then too was that, I think you've heard this, but Jeff Jansen was the musical director, great dude. And I had heard his name from like, I think Brad Smith back in the day or like another worship leader. And then I was like, I get in there and I'm like, okay, there's my connection. I think that's him. Like, I can tell he's musical directing. And they bring it up to the front and they're like, all right, well, we got a special announcement to make. This is actually Jeff's last weekend with us. And I'm like, oh, no! I'm like, perfect. Fantastic. Yeah. Buy in and it's gone.
Dang.
So anyways, but then obviously like beyond then started getting involved at Rancho. And then it's this funny thing that I've been reflecting on recently that, so I have a marketing degree for my undergrad. While I was working at APU, I picked up my MBA. They were kind enough to pay for it. And the thing that's funny is that like, I look back and if you asked me like, even when people were asking me what I was doing with my marketing degree, I'm like, playing drums. And
Nice.
And some old wise people are like, why are you getting a marketing degree? And I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, but I do like business and like entrepreneurship. And it's funny to look back on now because like, honestly, if you asked me even 6 months ago or a year ago about like an associate worship pastor role, I'd be like, wait, what? Like that. And that's kind of what I said to Chris when he first mentioned it. And it was just like, it's kind of like funny looking back now and going, oh my gosh, like if like granted, my position has a lot to do with music and culture and people, but it also has a lot to do with finances and budget and like administration. And if I didn't have those pieces come into place, even before I understood why they were falling into place, then I probably wouldn't even be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible to think about. It just feels like a real blessing that even when I'm not paying enough attention to understand what's going on in the bigger picture that God's planning, he's got it figured out before I do.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, like, and I think we should talk about it and say how, like, when I first approached you, actually, I didn't approach you first. You approached me because there was a position open for our lead music director at the time.
Yeah.
And me and you had been working at the Rancho campus for a number of years. You were musically directing for the campus. And man, I loved you since I met you, Craig. Like, and I did everything that I possibly could to make sure that you felt good about what you were doing and what was going on. But I think that from a very early point in our relationship and as friends, I realized, oh man, this dude is a son of the house. And I'm not sure he understands that yet. I'm not sure that he gets that his purpose really is or really has to be around people. And because as soon as we made that change, I don't know if you remember this, but as soon as we made that change to you going from someone who was supported on a weekend to play drums to now you're leading our band, you're musically directing, there was a shift that happened in you. And then all of a sudden, it was like the influence and the band felt better about what they were doing. They felt more clear. There was someone tasked over the clear direction of what we were doing that morning. And it meant a lot to people to have that kind of prep. Anyway, I learned so much from you in that season of going, man, this is really how to rally people. And this is really how and what people respond to. And so when you came up to me, you're like, hey, man, I know that there's, we're talking about a possibility for a lead music director. And do you remember what I told you?
Well, eventually you just told me no.
Yeah. I was like, I told him, I go, I'm sorry. I was like, Craig, yeah, I'll think about it or let me, because I knew instantly that wasn't the spot. Like, and because of our time together and because of how I've seen you. It's not that you wouldn't take a lead music director spot and really crush that. Yeah. It's not even that the lead music director job is any less than what you're doing. Right. And I think you understand that. Everybody understands that. But what it was there was a side of you that God had been working on and internalizing inside of you for so long, and everybody else is seeing this. Yeah. And you see a version of it, but people on the outside or around you see a whole nother side. And so what I saw was a pastoral side, a person who's not just good with music, but who's really good with people, and someone who's not just good with people, but also the systems that honor people. Yeah. And I think that, so when you came to me, I went, well, that's a no-brainer. Like, of course I want you on this team. Like, I've always wanted that. But it felt so weird to be like, no, that's not it, dude. Yeah. And I pulled you aside at Rancho and just said, hey, man, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's the position for you. Yeah. I think that you are built for something different. And you kind of looked at me like, okay. And I got in the car on the way home, and I need you to know this, I've never told you this before. I got in the car on the way home, and I was semi-emotional about it because I'm just like, dang it, there goes Craig. He's going to leave. And it's not just that. It wasn't like he was going to leave if he didn't get a spot. I never felt that way about you. I still don't. Yeah. It was like some company somewhere is going to pick you up and they're going to be completely justified in doing so, and you're going to make a ton of money and you're going to do all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm never going to see this guy again, and so I just started praying and thinking, and then we ended up hiring Raul Alfonso for the lead music director spot, and that was incredible. He's doing an amazing job. He really is. And then after that point, we got to a place where we had to reorganize and kind of set things up differently for the future and for the season we were heading into. And then all of a sudden, it was like the role became very clear. My strength has never been organization. It's never been systems. And so I knew, and what I had been praying about was, okay, God, will you show me who you want? I want it to be someone, Lord, who just, they don't just compliment me. I want someone you want. And so I went back and forth and thought about it, and I went, of course I want to hire Craig. Of course this is a perfect position for Craig. He's going to set systems up, and he's going to honor people, and he's going to drive culture, and he's a champion. I'm like, let's get him.
You know what's cool about how like all these other things, additionally to like his musical prowess and understanding there. So you could, Craig, I wanted to bring this up a few minutes ago when you were talking about it. And you say like, you were going to school for these things that weren't necessarily musically oriented. Yeah. And I think a lot of people can find themselves like you have a passion, right? You have a desire for one thing. You find yourself in another area and going like, oh, these things don't line up.
Yeah.
But I think reaching the understanding that there's always something to learn, and you taking these skills with you in this, like you said, has enabled you to operate and function in a way that you never knew possible. Right. So I would encourage like people, you know, listeners and us in the room, like if you don't take for granted the situations you find yourself in. Right. They can be really tough. They can be really great. But there's always something to learn, even if it's what's not to do. Yeah, you'll probably hear me say that hundreds of times on this. But so I love seeing that. Yeah, you could feel disconnected from your passion, right? You're studying analytics. That you can enjoy. You probably enjoy it. There's things about it you enjoyed, but you're like, how do these work together? Yeah, I think you were true to yourself. Yeah. I think you just kind of you followed your heart and you took skills with you. Yeah, and I think you brought the Spirit of God with you in those areas, which is really cool.
One of the things too that I feel like I can brag about Chris on is that Chris is like very clear about what his strengths are and very clear about what his strengths are not. And
he's a bad liar.
Right? Yeah, because it's obvious. No, and the thing I love about Chris is that like he recognizes the places where his strengths are, and he's built a team around him of people who have strengths in those areas. And so it's like the way I explain it to a lot of people is like, you know, I'm in this like created position that's like relatively recent, and the way I explain it to a lot of people, which I think makes a lot of sense, at least in my mind, is essentially for years out at Rancho Cucamonga campus here at CCV now One and All, I was essentially trying to execute the vision of Chris as worship leader, like trying to put wheels to, you know, Chris is like, I want it to feel like this. I want to do that. I'm like, okay, then that means we're going to land here. That means we're going to play this progression. That means, you know, you need to be in this place at this time. Like just trying to put the pieces together that would like help him like execute the vision for the congregation and make like an impactful worship experience. And then now we're doing that exact same thing, but just on a higher level, just on a grander scale. He's has the vision, and I'm like, what are the, like, you know, how can we put wheels to that and execute it? So it's just like we went from the stage and like the context of a worship set to now the context like of a department in a larger church. But it kind of feels like we're doing the same thing we always have.
And I think it's also helpful to make a clear distinction that when we're talking about like me having the vision and you trying to figure out the pieces and executing, like it can come off as very if we have this system correct, then everything will fall in place. And that's just not the truth. Like what I'm grateful for in this season is that, you are very good at systems, Craig. You're so good at finding the things that help us get to a new place of what we're doing operationally and what we're doing week to week and day to day. But it's not about that. I feel like the biggest thing is that our people feel honored. Yeah. You know, our people feel like we're doing something great. Yeah. You know, and we're working really hard, and we'll always work really hard at trying to identify with them what is God saying right now in the life of our church, in your life, in the life of the people that we're trying to reach. Yeah. And I think that I have so much confidence in this season because I know that I have a Craig Smith thinking about how people are affected by the post-service huddle. You know what I mean? Like those are things that you just think about very naturally. And so I'm really grateful we talked about how God gave you the tools and how he used them all along. And I feel like one of our biggest weaknesses, I heard the man who I like to call my spiritual grandpa, Jensen Franklin. I don't know him. He doesn't know me, but you know, I stalk him just like anything else. But like I heard him say in a message one time, the problem with us humans is we're limited to the scene we're in.
That's good.
You know, we're limited to the circumstances around us or our situation currently. We don't get to see the whole picture. Only one frame, you know? Yeah. And but God sees the whole picture. He knows the end result. And so just you going to school for something different, but then having the wherewithal of getting around in a band and figuring out how things work sonically. And, it's like becoming the musician that you became, while going to school for these things. It's almost like God planned it himself.
Oh,
Almost.
that's good.
My
How about that?
goodness.
So that's Craig Smith. And do we know, have you told our listening audience what your title actually is? All of this honor falls
Right?
on
Yeah.
what title is Craig Smith have now?
Yeah, Craig Smith, Associate Worship Pastor.
How about
At
that?
One and All
I
Church.
mean, I
At
don't know
One
what
and
the
All
topic
Church.
of this podcast is, but I feel very honored, very blessed.
Hey, that's
So,
good. That's what
Craig
it
is
is.
very kind.
Craig's
He's a
just-
kind gentleman.
Craig
on
was
this
having a
podcast.
bad day.
I know,
Yeah,
So we
right?
brought him
Yeah.
in here.
Hey, we're just trying to lift up. This is good. This is
Seriously,
good.
yeah. I'm the only one that destroyed things in here, and then somehow I end up
You
being
did break stuff.
Yeah, so very.
But that's
kind.
all right,
Thank you.
and we will have you
Appreciate
back.
that.
We will have you back.
But we'll
Thank you.
take
So I can break
everything
more things.
valuable
Yeah,
out
right.
first.
Anything breakable, get me out.
But the audience is very excited to hear about Christopher Fink. Chris or Christopher?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Do you have a
Hey,
personal
professionally,
preference?
it's
Fun
Christopher.
fact: you can email either. And it'll
Either
get
one.
to him.
Fun fact. There you go.
Yeah, you can. My friends call me Chris. It doesn't matter.
What does your mom
me
call
all
you?
kinds of- She calls me Christopher.
Oh, that was a good
Always
question.
or when
Hey,
you're
That's a
mad?
good question.
No, she's a mixed bag.
Okay.
Yeah, so she.
How does she say it though?
Ooh.
Christopher?
When she's really upset, she won't even say my name.
Ooh, you feel it. Yeah.
You can feel it. That
Say my
woman.
name,
ooh,
please.
her famous taglines
She just
growing
scared
up.
me.
She used to tell me, because I would get upset with her about how, I was raised in a single parent home, and I had two siblings, and it's just me, my mom, and my brother and my sister. And I just remember being like a 14-year-old punk and like walking around my house and like opening the fridge and seeing that there was no food in there and like complaining. Like just being like, ugh, whatever it was that I was doing. God just got done with like baseball or football or whatever I was doing. And I'd come home, like look in the fridge, there's nothing there. And I'm like, there's never food here. I remember being like just a little punk and saying like, man, there's never food here, Mom. Like there's never, and I didn't consider what kind of budget she was on or how she made things work so that I could live. Like I was a spoiled brat. I had it good, man. Like our situation wasn't good. I didn't grow up in the best neighborhoods. I had my own story, but that woman treated me well, and she still does. And so, but I remember every single time that I would complain that way, she always responded with a statement, and this statement's kind of shaped everything for me. I just hear her voice, but I'd go, there's no food in this house. There's never food or something, whatever. And then she would say, we have everything we need, son. She said, we have beans, we have rice, and we have Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
And she goes,
Amen.
that's all we need. And I would be so upset all the time. And then like life happened.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
went, you know what I need?
Yeah.
I need Jesus.
Yeah.
Beans and
But
rice.
also some beans,
beans
and
and
rice.
rice.
Some
Yeah, thank
tortillas.
you.
Nowadays, it's
Should've
almond
been
flour
the
tortillas.
punchline.
Gotta
The
keep
bread
it
of
keto.
life and some rice and beans on the side is just real good.
100%.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well,
Anyway.
Chris, tell us that's a really good intro to Chris. How did you get into
Yes.
music? All the stuff. How'd you get where you are today?
That's how do I condense
How did you say that, Ben? 5 minutes? The
within-
5 minute talk?
Yeah, Chris, just give us
Yeah.
the nutshell. Maybe where did the worship, you being worship pastor One and All, at One and All Church here.
Yeah.
You lead the team, handful of campuses. Where did that worship journey start with you? Where does it, and where do you keep that place in your life? How do you view it? Why is it important to you? Those things.
Yeah, that's great. I guess I've been singing since I can remember. I mean, I feel my mom would tell me that I would just, I would mumble. Before I could talk, I would just, mumble melodies and do different stuff. And she actually took me to the doctor about it for it one time because she thought there was something wrong with me.
And the doc was like, no. He just wants rice
There's
and beans.
nothing wrong with
He
you?
just wants rice and beans.
But she took me to the doctor. He's like, no, he's fine. He's just singing. He's just singing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good
Anyway,
doc.
so
This was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
there
Yeah.
you go. And so I've always sang. I started playing guitar I had cousins, and my cousin Rodney, he had a guitar, and he was so good on acoustic guitar, and I would just pick it up, and he would teach me little things here and there. We actually didn't go to church when I was younger. My mom started going to church when I was a baby. They prayed for me, and they said a bunch of things that I don't remember right now, but eventually she kind of hit a place where they didn't really agree with her lifestyle, or something happened, and we just didn't go again, and life got busy, and we were kind of floating in and out of church throughout my life. Majority, nothing, until I got to about 11 years old. I had a friend named David, and every single week he would come up to me. He's a neighborhood kid, like me. Yeah. And this was a time when everybody rode bikes. You know what I mean? I had an NSX dyno. What's up? Come at me. You know what I mean? But we'd be riding on our bikes. He'd invite me every week, and he'd be like, "Hey, man, I want you to come to church with me." And I was like, "No way, dude." I'm like, "That's boring. No thanks." My only experience in church was like with my grandma, and it just wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't a time, Anyway, so he'd ask me week in, week out, and I would always say no. I probably said no maybe 10 times until one day he changed up his approach. And I love telling this story because I came to church for the worst reasons. And he came up to me one day and he goes, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, man, you got to come to church with me." I'm like, "Bro, I don't want to go." I'm like, "No, thanks." And he said, "Today," he goes, "my mom's gonna make us lunch." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds good. Okay, cool." But nah, it's boring. Then he finally said like what I needed to hear. He's like, "Are you sure you don't want to come with me? Because there's fine girls there." And then I was like, "Okay, what time do we leave? What time are we headed there? How long should I tell my mom I'm going to be out? Like, I just need to know the details at this point, David. Let's go. Come on, So that's what happened. I ended up going to the church, and the first day that I walked into a Sunday school class, and as I walked in the Sunday school class, actually, God is good, because I walked in, and that was the first day that I met my wife.
Wow.
Nice. I was 11 years old. I walked into this Sunday school class, and there she was, pigtails, she had a blue dress on. And I just remember going, whoa. And anyway, so that was the beginning. I ended up coming to Christ at 13 at the same church. And I was really grateful for that season in my life. I learned a lot of things. But it was also a hard season too, being in the church that I was in. And things were rough, I never really had an opportunity to serve on any worship team or anything like that, even though I played guitar and even though I sang. There was like requirements. You needed to be 18 to be on the worship team, something like that. And you needed to be responsible enough to get there to rehearsals. Totally understand that part, but like you had to have a car. There was like weird stuff, and I'm like, oh man, forget it. I'm never going to do this. And so I'd do some stuff for like the youth group and things like that. Actually the first time I ever sang a worship song in front of people, I was 13, and that was the same weekend that I gave my life to Christ.
Wow.
So the same weekend that I gave my life to Christ, I sang the next day. And so it's felt like I've been in church since I was 13. And
was it Give Me Faith?
Yeah, that's Chris's go-to song.
So when I was 15, I had gotten kicked out of the church in front of the whole congregation, actually. Wow. And it was pretty crazy. I mean, and so what that did for me was, it made me feel in the moment like I would never measure up. I would never have a place. All I wanted to do was serve. All I wanted to do was sing. All I wanted to do was be a part of my dad's house, and I felt like at that moment, just the way it was handled, I felt very hurt. And I felt like, okay, if this is what the church is like, I don't want any part of it, And then one day, by the grace of God, my wife's sister was talking about this church called CCV, and she was like, I don't know, it's crazy. They meet in a movie theater, and it's awesome. You would love it. And they play Hillsong, and I was like, sick, I was like,
Sign
when
me
is
up.
it? They're like, she's like, yeah, they played From the Inside Out, and I was like, oh, sign me up. Where are we going?
I just
you know?
want to pause and look at the growth in Chris Fink's life from 11 to then.
Seriously.
Going to church for girls at 11.
Yeah, dude.
Elevation and some good
God
worship.
moves your heart,
That's
over
right.
time.
That's right.
Girls and
Hopefully.
God.
So,
Girls and God.
So, anyways, I show up at this church pop up in a movie theater, the Edwards Theater in Laverne, and
That's a nice theater.
Yeah, it's nice. And so we walked in. I walked
Church
in
at a
and
not nice theater.
good friend of mine, Nick Lacey, was the worship leader at that time, and I remember coming in and thinking, wow, this is dope. This is amazing. I had never heard anything of that quality before, and it just so happened that day.
It's interesting. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
But you point to that it was the quality
Yeah.
that kind of drew
Oh,
you
100%.
Yeah,
All I
there's
thought
some
about was
importance
how
to that, yeah.
I was so used to when I was playing, everything popping and breaking and messing up. And it's like, finally there was a moment where I got into a service and I wasn't distracted by like stuff breaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but like that was the thing.
I think there's something to be said there because a lot of times we can look past like the little things. And I think particularly to perhaps a younger generation that's easily distracted by all these things,
Right.
it's like I know that when I was younger, if I walked into a place and it just your first review of a place is how you're treated, right? People say hello? There's something that's inviting about it, and there can be things that are uninviting about it. And I think considering those things and placing value in those things goes a long way for people that are maybe like yourself, who's just walking in, maybe doesn't feel like they have a place, but there's something that drew you in. And of course, there's growth that happens beyond that point. But
You talked about a
quality is
younger
important.
generation being distracted easily, but I think a younger generation also has excellence at their fingertips all the time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
high quality. They
That's
know
a
what high
great-
quality
that's
is,
a
right?
great-
Yeah.
And so sweat the small stuff,
Yeah.
which this team does, by the way, One and All Worship does, because you understand what the product is going to.
We do.
And competing against,
Yeah.
especially here in LA.
We do, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel
But it's
like
not
you
neglected.
have to say that. We can't neglect it.
Yeah.
It's our
Yeah.
responsibility not to neglect it.
For sure.
Yeah.
But there is a balance of
Has to be.
going, if this suffers a little bit, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. If it means that that we made the right decision for the moment that served the service and our people.
Yep.
You're just not going to win the excellence battle all the time.
Yeah.
That's
You're
right.
not. What you can do is just bring your best every single time. And that is something that has to be experienced. You can't just
Yep.
say it.
Yeah.
And you have to feel it. You have to know and be okay with making mistakes and doing different stuff. If you're going to be impactful and actually make a difference, you have to think
Yep.
about it through that framework.
So what was that first weekend like?
Oh, I mean,
That first weekend, you
it
walk
was incredible.
in, quality,
I
you
walk
notice it.
in and like everybody's smiling. That's what I noticed the first time. I'm like, there's everybody smiling. Like I got a donut for free. Like that was sick. You know what I'm saying? And I was a heavy boy. At that time. But I had an amazing experience. But it just so happened, in the way that God worked it out, was that day Nick Lacey from the front said, "Hey, today we're asking any of you, if you are a musician or anything like that, we're looking for people to join our team." And I just get this like elbow bump from my sister-in-law. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to repeat the process though. I'm in my head, I'm going to go up to him, talk to him.
Yep.
And he's going to realize I'm a piece of crap and I'm not going to be able to serve, as soon as he finds out who I am, or what I battle or what I struggle with. And it was the complete opposite. I walked up to this guy and I met him, and I just remember he never stopped smiling. And that might be normal for some people, but for a kid that grew up in Pomona with a lot of different environments around him and a lot of different people, I learned a lot from my upbringing, but I also experienced a lot in my upbringing. And so to have someone as welcoming and kind as Nick was to me made me instantly curious about a new experience. Maybe I was wrong about church. Maybe I was wrong about what it could be. Anyway, so we set up a time. I go in, I meet him at his office, and I knew 2 songs, Mighty to Save, From the Inside Out. That's it. What else you need? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what's going on. You know, that's the definition of what's going on. Anyway, so I knew these 2 songs, and that was it. And I originally just told them that I wanted to play guitar. I have always felt like singing was something for me that was very intimate and that I wanted to keep almost to myself. There'd be times when I want to worship, and I if you know me, you know I'm always singing, you know I'm always doing whatever, but I didn't. It was something about telling him that I also sing was giving him too much in the moment.
Interesting.
And so I said, I just want to play guitar because I'm just not sure yet. It looks hopeful, but you know whatever.
Yeah.
And so I get in there and I play. We get there and I told him I know 2 songs. He's like, okay, cool. And I walk into his office. He's got a Homer Simpson like robotic statue that's as big as me when I walk in, which I'll never forget. He's wearing like a chef apron. Anyway, so we sit down. He prays for us. We start playing. He starts singing "Mighty to Save," and I'm just playing underneath him on my acoustic. And he sings the first chorus. We get into the second chorus, and I just naturally jumped into a harmony. During the thing, and I wasn't trying to.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Well, I can sing too.
Sorry, do you want me to do the 3rd or the 5th?
Yeah.
And but I find this, I jump into this harmony, and then he goes, wait. And he stops playing, and he's like puts his hand on my guitar, and I'm like, "Oh no, what did I do? This is my worst nightmare happening."
What if he did that? And he's like, "Wait, you cannot sing right now.
I would have been like, "Dang it, I knew it. These people are
This
crazy."
is my opportunity."
Yeah. So anyway, so he goes, "Wait," and then he said, "You sing?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah." I go, "But I just, I'm interested more in playing guitar and whatever." He goes, "Okay, but for right now, like." Let's sing.
Yeah.
Let's sing together. And I said, okay. So we finished it. I got into From the Inside Out. I led From the Inside Out. And I just remember at the end of it, he was crying. And I just thought he was having a moment with Jesus. And I'm sure that was part of it. But he looked at me and he just said, hey, I know you got a lot going on in your life. Nobody's perfect. Because I was kind of giving him the rundown on some of the stuff I was dealing with. And he goes, nobody's perfect, but I feel like I have to tell you, you need to lead worship.
Wow.
And you need to do it here. And I'll do whatever it takes for you to stick alongside of what we're doing here. And honestly, that was it.
Yeah.
Long story short, for the next 5 years, I led for junior high, high school night, community groups, fireside room, weekend worship, whatever it was that they would give me, I did. And it must have been thousands and thousands of sets, and having to cover for drummers when they don't show up, stuff like that. The stuff we all have to deal with, Anyway, to kind of forward the story, my wife and I were still dating at that time, and I met her when I was 11, but she didn't like me till we were 14 for good reason. Yeah. And then, but at 19, I really felt like, okay, I feel like God is calling me to marry her. So I went, got my ring, or got her ring, and at the time I was doing like low voltage electrical and like some air conditioning stuff. I was a bouncer at a nightclub, long story. It's like there was these things I did in order to get her ring. And I proposed to her. And a week after I proposed to her with no job, no permanent job, I got a phone call from a guy named Bill Haydorn. And Bill was a pastor that I had done ministry with at CCV for years. He was the college pastor. He moved up to... he moved up north to start a church. And he called me and said, hey, man, I heard you're getting married, and I think you might need a job. You want to come lead worship? And I was like, yes, absolutely, yeah, because I did need a job. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. And I said, where's it at? Like, where? And he said, Boise, Idaho. And I was like, what's Boise, Idaho? I don't even know where Idaho is, Bill. Seriously? But I'm in.
Yeah.
And so I went up there, I interviewed, got the job. Thank you, God. And then I lived there for 4 months by myself while I was engaged with Maddie, my wife. And for our wedding day, I flew down and we got married, and I packed all of her stuff and her little dog in her Mazda 6, and we drove 16 hours up to Boise, Idaho together. So
Nice.
that was the start of my ministry. That was 10 years ago. And I spent the next 6 months, I think, there, total of a year, around a year in Idaho doing ministry. And then Maddie and I really, really felt the desire, because she was at that point pregnant with our first kid. And here we are 20 years old and she's pregnant, and married and she's pregnant. And then we get a phone call from another friend named Kevin Weir, who at that point, my friend Bill, had moved back down to California. And I was kind of up there by myself, and Maddie and I were new to marriage and about to have a kid. And we were like, something like Vegas, which was the next phone call that we got, would be so much closer than 16 hours in Idaho. To be 4 to 5 hours away from family sounded better, And so we started praying about that and thinking through that, went down, interviewed, got the job. And we spent the next 2 years in Las Vegas, Nevada, doing ministry around some of the best people. And we had our first 2 kids there. We have 4 children now. So
Nice.
we spent 2 years in Vegas. That was a blast. I had learned so much. It was a great time. And then the same guy who originally got me started, Nick Lacey, was still at CCV at that time. He gave me a call and said, "Hey man, I think it's time to come home." And I was like, "All right, Nick, let's do it,
the
bro."
power of the phone call.
Yeah,
That's what it is,
Seriously,
dude. Yeah.
It really
When Fink
was.
phones ring,
Man, when
watch
I need
out.
something, I'm gonna call Chris.
Yeah,
'Cause he's-
Apparently.
Heck yeah. And so I came down, I interviewed, and fell in love with the team that was here, and fell in love with the opportunity to bring my family back around our families again, and be able to, for my wife to be able to have that support. Anyway, long story short, I got to, over the past 7 years, I've been able to be a part of some of the best projects and seasons going into our church. From Nick Lacey, then to my friend Jeremiah Mullins leading the department, and being able to learn from him and see, okay, how does a team, I understood what my thought process was of how a team should work, but then watching my friend Jared do it, and seeing us come together, a bunch of like flawed people coming together and trying to ask God for what he wanted, and it was a really special season, and I really enjoyed it and really loved it. And I got to be a part of those projects with Valley Worship, and got to learn a lot of different stuff. But then I also had the opportunity that, knowing Jer was the captain, he's leading the team, and I felt like we had an opportunity to build up another room. I'm sitting inside of the Nokia Theater one night, and Hillsong's there, and I forget what it was for, but it was that many years ago. And I remember this moment where Brian walks on stage during worship, like you could tell it wasn't a moment they had planned for, all this different stuff. There was even a moment where Joel looks back at him like, "What are you doing?" And he just, in the middle of, right after the bridge, just kind of puts his hand on Joel, and he just had a moment with his son. And then things started for me just to click, and I saw him walk down, and he went up to Bobby and he gave her a kiss, and he talked to, he quoted Proverbs, to her, and it was like he's just having this moment because he's enjoying ministry, and he's enjoying like what God is doing, and he's honoring his family in the moment. But there was something he said that night, and he said about Hillsong, he said, "One house, different rooms. One house, many rooms." And I thought about it, and I went, "Whoa, yeah," because they're in New York, they're over here, they're over there, they're over here. And I'm like, that's powerful. There's something powerful about that. But that concept sat with me. And I went to Jeremiah, and I went to our lead pastor, Jeff Vines, and I went to them and I said, "Hey, I wonder if you'd pray about giving me the opportunity of going to Rancho. Because I know Jared's going to need to drive culture here. You know, we're both strong leaders.
Wow.
We both are charged. You know, we want to lead the charge. And I'm like, give me Rancho and allow me to do my best to try to make this feel like another room in the house.
Yeah.
Because at that time it was so different. The experiences were so different from what we did at the San Dimas campus. They were so different that it didn't feel like the same place. And so I spent the next 5 years building team and making sure that we felt and looked like and acted like and experienced
Wow.
the same things. And so that was really vital for me.
Yeah. What an I'm so inspired by your story, Chris, particularly a story of, and I think this is going to be really valuable to our listeners, getting kicked out of church.
Yeah.
Not just by a person ushering you out, by getting called up on stage and actually like the whole church kicked you out. And so I think of potential people who are listening to this that can relate to that side that hasn't had the other side that you've had a welcoming back. And so you go from Rancho, now you are where you are. You get an opportunity to lead the department. We had a transition. How does leading, particularly with the name change, One and All, this stark contrast between being kicked out of church to a church that now calls itself a home for one and all, and you get to lead worship for one and all. How has your experience of experiencing both sides of that, of a select group where it wasn't one and all, to leading a church through worship that says even that Chris Fink is accepted here? How is that?
Yeah, there's so many things I don't know, Aaron. I really do feel like what it comes down to is that God knows exactly when the time is right to place us in an assignment. I see what I get to do right now as an assignment.
That's good.
I see what I get to do as something I'll never. If I try to think of reasons why I deserve it, I'm in the wrong place. If I try to understand why God would choose me to do it, I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong posture. I think that there's advantages and disadvantages to having 4 children and starting early and doing what I did, you know. But I think that what those experiences gave me was an opportunity to like really, really die to the things that I thought were meaningful when they weren't. And now I've hit this place where I fully understand. I feel like I'm at a party that I wasn't invited to and nobody's noticed yet. I feel like it's a black tie event and I'm hiding in the corner in my sweats. And that's how it really feels.
Yeah.
And God every day calls me to stand up, and because you're invited, stand up because I invited you. And it's a daily process for me.
Wow.
A mental process, a physical process of leading with the kind of courage it takes when you are set in your mind that you don't deserve it. And I only feel like I don't deserve it because I don't take it lightly. I realize that everyone around me is a child of my dad and that everyone around me matters to him. And so what we do as a department, what we do as a team matters so much that how could you trust me with this? And so I'm grateful,
Yeah.
I'm thankful. But I want to go back to something you said earlier really quick and just say, if there's someone who's listening to this that has had a bad experience with church, I want to encourage you to seek out Jesus. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean find the next worship experience. I think you should be plugged into community eventually. I think you should get back into a place where you can trust people and find a good place. There are good churches out there. There are good places that love people. And so you just have to find them. But no, that's not what I mean. Is I want to encourage you to find Jesus in the scripture. Like, look for him and talk to him and ask him these things that are going on in your head. Don't be don't be afraid to do that. And he'll reveal himself. And even if he doesn't reveal himself right away, he's going to surround you with the people who are going to support you in that time. And so now, being able to lead this team, for me, the biggest objective or the biggest thing that I try to do, or that I'm trying to do right now, is as we're all trying to figure this out, I really want to take a look at everybody around me. First, at the our staff team, we refer to everyone as the direction team of worship. And the direction team, I want to make sure that I'm being their pastor. I want to make sure that we have daily conversations about where they're at with things, but not just that they feel the freedom to be professionals in what they do. I feel like there's this thing where we try to hold on or wait, or something's coming. We always think something's coming. God's going to do something big. No, he's already doing something big.
Yeah.
You are his something big.
That's it.
You know, but you haven't realized that yet, and that's a sad thing. And so for me, I just go like, if I can just help my friends realize every day that they are his something big, that they are already a miracle.
Yeah.
And if I can refocus that and just tell them, hey, if you lead audio, I need you to go and seek out Jesus and ask him. Don't ask me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I literally have Robbie. Robbie will come up to me. He's such a good dude. Everyone needs to meet Robbie. But Robbie, you know, he'll come up to me sometimes and go, hey, what do you think about this? Saying, what do you think about this is cool. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm cool. I don't need to have the right answer. But if he comes up to me and goes, where do you think we're headed in direction? I would literally tell him, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'm not an audio guy. Like, I don't understand this. I've been around it. I'm a son of the house. I get it, you know. But if you put me behind a board, everyone's gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and that's just the way it is. And so, but I say that in a funny way, only to say, I want my team to understand that they are the best at what they do. That's why God has them where they're at. And so I'm going to lean on them to seek out God for the plan.
That's right.
Let me know the plan. My job is to make sure that we're unified to the vision and mission of our church, and that we are never misrepresenting Jesus, and that we are being good to people. And then other than that, the 5% that we do on the stage, tell me what songs we're doing. Let me know. Am I playing acoustic? Whatever. You know, those are so minor compared to the bigger purpose. And that is to see our systems and our deliverables and everything else get to a place where people are coming closer to Jesus as an outcome.
Yeah,
and that's what we want.
That's awesome.
That's it.
That's really awesome. Chris, I know you got to run.
Yeah.
But I love that the focus is Jesus. Seek out Jesus in what you do.
Right.
It's amazing that is what you're leading with. You know, Brooke from Hillsong, Brooke Lidgerwood, previously Brooke Frazier, before she married her hubby Scotty. She leads Hillsong Worship now, but she was just recently asked in an interview, like, what would you say about like people who want, like people aspiring to be worship leaders and things, and people like wanting to follow their dreams and do this? And she had a very simple response, and it was, "Don't follow your dreams, follow Jesus." I just go like, I was just like,
I love
hey,
that.
amen. She goes,
good.
"Don't follow your dreams, follow Jesus."
Yeah, that's good, dude.
And so you had said very similar thing in that, like,
that's right.
Don't be irresponsible with your gifting or your task, your skill, but seek Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and the rest will kind of fall in line. There's going to be so much more I want to talk about, like in future episodes. I want to
Let's do it again.
I want to talk about like practical things, right? We heard it kind of a broad why, like the vision of the One and All Worship, the team. But I mean, when we break down why lights are so important and why it's an offering of worship, I think a lot of people think of, worship, that's just the music, and it's like, it's so much more. Online video,
That's right.
People running camera. Like, this is for people, and it's for what you said, people experiencing the move of the Holy Spirit, people experiencing Jesus and getting to encounter Jesus is so important.
And I feel like the one thing that's important to say, and something that we say a lot on the weekend, is the biggest thing we want people to walk away from at the end of our service is their experience with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they talk about the lights, if they talk about this
Sure.
or that, that's okay. But their takeaway from the weekend should be Jesus. And there is a way. There is a way to have great production.
Amen.
And not misrepresent real life.
Yeah.
And so we want to give people Jesus, but we want to do it in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
right.
great.
So
It's good.
Speaking
We
of,
do need to review the bean
Well,
before we lose anybody.
I got to get going. I love you guys very much.
What did you think of the bean, Chris?
I would
before
say
you
the
run away?
reverse orangutan is incredible.
Hey.
I really loved this latte. Not joking. And so I love this a lot. And also on the cup,
He loves it a latte.
I wish I could show I love it a latte. Wow, that's good. On this cup, it has just a monkey, the backside of a monkey, and it says reverse on it. See that?
The back.
It's the little thing.
For the record, the barista was wearing it's like a
reverse.
Sasquatch shirt, and it was in the
Yes.
Jordan thing, and it said "Just brew it."
Yeah.
So I was trying to cop one of those shirts.
Thank you so much
Speaking
for
of all
your
the bad
time,
blood.
and thank you for the
Chris
bean.
Fink.
Of
Aaron.
course.
So sorry, Craig broke your.
That's okay. I'm just gonna say you're invited
Speaking
back.
of
To be fair, I
experiencing,
had actually forgotten about that.
experiencing,
Be sad right
Just forget, but it is gonna live right up on that shelf forever. So
now. Yeah, seriously.
speaking of experiencing Jesus in not misrepresenting Jesus, the coffee, we're talking about Jesus gets into things, man.
Yeah, very true.
So what'd you think?
Oh yeah, no, I thought it was
What?
great. Sorry, I spaced out there. I went to a different place.
Jesus
no,
is
it was
Craig
delicious,
has taken
dude.
about one sip of his coffee.
Yeah, I know. I've been easing in. No, it's a good time. It's
What would you extract from the reverse orangutan?
yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't have enough experience with coffee, to be honest with you. I'm a vanilla latte guy, but that does give me a relatively fair.
He's a vanilla latte guy.
and,
it does give me
and full transparency, because that's what this podcast is all about.
Please.
Transparency.
Yes.
Not just a vanilla latte, decaf
decaf.
vanilla latte. So take
There's a
this with a
story
grain
there.
of salt,
I know, right?
particularly
Yeah. No
reverse
respect for the
orangutan if you're
decaf.
thinking about being a sponsor.
But yeah, no, yeah. As far as specialty coffees, I essentially besides a coffee bean or a Starbucks, it's hard for me to distinguish the difference between different vanilla lattes. I would say this one is very good, so it's a good time. Yeah,
Very good is his Yelp review.
yeah, that's
good.
what I got for you.
Mine, I had to switch out with Chris. Was a vanilla latte. I've had actually coffee from the reverse orangutan many
yeah.
times before.
Oh yeah,
It's some of the best around this area.
yeah. I would say so.
What I would say about this vanilla latte is it's too sweet. It's too sweet for me. I'm not a vanilla latte guy. I'm
Yeah,
normally
yeah.
just like a straight latte person.
Right, which I mean, yeah.
But as
you've
far as
probably
the quality of the bean, I think the notes are there.
had-
It's very nice.
I'm very pleased. Particularly what I liked is the size of the ice cubes. Actually had a great chance to tell that to the barista that put this together.
wait, and that is a what? Cold brew, just cold brew?
Just cold brew.
Okay.
This is a cold brew coffee. That's thank you for reminding me to
Yeah,
tell our
yeah,
audience. This
yeah.
is a standard drink for me.
Okay.
Ben would rate his coffee places based on the latte that they produce. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, whatever drink's regular for mine is a latte. So
Yours is a
that's-
latte,
that's
right?
my
And so I
medium.
judge off of cold brew.
Okay.
It is a good time. I've enjoyed it very much. It's almost gone, and I will finish this drink. It was a little acidic for me.
Okay. Yep.
Let's talk about the scandal of the sippy cup. How does that play into this whole
The packaging
thing?
of the coffee.
Are you a sippy cup fan?
Ever
are you a
since
Save the
they
Turtles
came out
guy?
with these
What's
lids,
the deal?
yeah. So by the sippy cup, Craig means the plastic lid that goes on the top, but it's got the little hole
Yeah.
cut out, optimal for drinking cold coffee beverages. I very much enjoy the sippy cup. I'm not a straw kind of a guy because I think it just gives off some type of a vibe.
Killing turtles.
Yeah,
That vibe?
I can't even say that my
Yeah.
reasoning for it is for
It is a
for
plastic
the
cup, so I guess it's not any better.
eco-friendly. Yeah, it's not any
right.
better.
Yeah.
But the experience of drinking out of the cup, almost like you're drinking out of the cup without having to have a straw.
Got it.
It's just kind of a.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the straw. Matter of fact, I'm disappointed when I get cold brew and I don't have the sippy cup. So I guess that's how I feel about it.
Wow,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Does
Quick
it make me
adapter.
look some type of way?
No. Yeah. No. You
Okay.
look fine drinking it. I just. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
technique.
confirmed. Yeah. Yeah, good technique. You've done that once or twice.
All right. Thank you, Craig.
Yes, absolutely.
Be on your way. Back to work.
All right, here we go.
Back to
See
work.
you later. Thanks for having me. Sorry about the head.
Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the One and All podcast. That was really great to experience a conversation talking to Craig and Chris. And if you want to interact with and see the One and All Worship team in action, you can join us wherever you're listening to this podcast on a weekend at live.oneandall.church. I will be there. You'll get to interact with me and all of the other people around the world that call this home. Love to see you there.
Yeah. And I love that we get to hear from these people that you see on a weekend, whether it's online or whether it's you attend a service at one of our physical campuses. It's so great to see the curtain pulled back and hear these stories that we heard. I think it brings us closer. I think it brings greater understanding. And so, yes, would encourage you, wherever you are, you can always tune in online, or join us at one of the campuses and come up and say hey. Like we'd love to meet you, to talk to you, and if we haven't met already, and continue doing life together. So.
Absolutely. And if you're watching online and you can't attend in person, get in that comment section. I'm in there in our Facebook group, in our Discord server on a weekend. We would love to meet you. So from Aaron and Ben, until next time.
See ya.